He announces general election by April. Iran conflict impacting Indian workers, war causing cooking gas shortages, joblessness. And in sports, Mooney and Australia's spinners stand out as Australia go 2-0 up in ODI series against Windies. These and other stories coming up in SVG-TV News and Sports at 7 p.m.
Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News and Sports for Monday, March 30th, 2026. I am Twyla Thompson with the details. In what has been described as a proactive effort to protect citizens from rising global economic pressures, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines today announced that it has formally established the National Cost of Living Task Force, NCLTF. A news release from the Prime Minister's office states this strategic initiative, approved by Cabinet on March 25, 2026, responds directly to systematic threats caused by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, with Brent crude oil rising to $110 per barrel and shipping risk premiums increasing sharply. The government is shifting from a reactive stance to actively addressing inflationary shocks in energy, food, and logistics. The release states that the NCLTF adopts a whole-of-nation approach aimed at dismantling traditional operational silos chaired by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. The task force brings together policy leadership from the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Agriculture, Blue Economy, and Tourism. It also includes key technical and social partners, such as representatives from the major labor unions, as well as operational experts from the Customs Department, the Port Authority, and Argyle International Airport. Private sector stakeholders, including the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, VINLEC, and key importers, are also integral to the framework. According to the government, the mandate of the task force focuses on a dual approach of immediate effect and relief and long-term structural change. Key fiscal measures include advising on targeting tax relief to mitigate the effects of the Middle East conflict. On the supply side, the NCLTF is expected to collaborate with CARICOM to explore alternative sourcing from partners such as Guyana and Brazil to reduce regional food expenditure. At the same time, the group will promote energy, cooperation, and renewable projects aimed at lowering utility costs. Ultimately, the release states that the body will function as an operational arm committed to safeguarding the nation's economic sovereignty and protecting the most vulnerable nations from global volatility. In light of recent acts of violence, public disorder, and other issues affecting communities across the country, Prime Minister Honorable Dr. Godwin Friday said in a statement issued on Friday that his government is actively engaging the relevant authorities to address these matters. In a video statement, the Prime Minister highlighted last Thursday's bus accident in Overland, which claimed the life of one person, as well as disturbing incidents involving young people following the recent school's sporting meet. He said, "What is being witnessed is deeply troubling."
Our communities, whether on our roads, in our schools, or in our neighborhoods, must be safe spaces. Violence and harm in any form cannot be tolerated or accepted as normal. My thoughts are with all the families currently grieving as a result of these incidents. I have already spoken with the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Sinclair Leacock, and other relevant authorities to ensure these matters are being addressed.
With respect to the violent incidents, Prime Minister Friday said he made a direct appeal to young people whom he described as the nation's future, emphasizing that safety is too important to be put at risk.
We must choose better for ourselves, for our families, and for our country. I want to be very clear. My first duty as Prime Minister and the first duty of my government is to protect the lives and livelihoods of our people. My government remains committed and active in tackling the levels of crime we have seen over recent years. It is our position that nobody should feel unsafe walking along the streets of Kingstown or in any community. And as a woman, you should not fear walking home by yourself. As a parent, you should not have to worry that your child would be injured or worse, killed by any person in SVG. We are actively pursuing measures to combat crime, including tools and better training for our police. And we will implement them.
The Prime Minister said that as a nation, everyone has a role to play in guiding and supporting young people and in rejecting violence wherever it appears. He also assured that his government is taking the recent acts of violent crime and the safety of Vincentians very seriously by working with all relevant stakeholders to address the situation. He added that a fuller outline of these measures will be provided in due course. Former Minister of Education Curtis King has raised concerns about public understanding of the country's education revolution, stating that many people remain unclear about its true scope and purpose. King, who made the comments during a discussion on Star Radio recently, said the concept of the education revolution extends far beyond simply increasing access to schooling. He noted that it also addresses issues of equity within the education system, ensuring that all students, regardless of background, have access to quality education and the resources needed to succeed.
And that's why I started this way. People confuse the education revolution with access, universal access to secondary education. But the revolution in education was a series of initiatives that impacted so positively and so quickly that you couldn't find no other way to describe it but as a revolution. And it went beyond just access to secondary education. It covered every component of our education system in terms of access, and I just spent a lot of time on access, but also in terms of equity. Look, not too long ago, it was a situation where if you wanted to do certain subjects, you had to go to the St. Vincent Grammar School.
King further emphasized that significant work remains to be done, particularly in the area of infrastructure and development within the education sector. He pointed out that improving school facilities and expanding access to modern learning tools are critical components of the transformation process.
In the issue of equity, we have moved. I'm saying we still have work to do. But now, we build a school and we put in place the infrastructure to allow for those different components of the education system. Whether it is TVET, whether it's, you name it, we try to accommodate.
The former minister noted that strengthening the foundation of the education system will be key to achieving the long-term objectives of the revolution and ensuring that no student is left behind. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, is intensifying efforts to promote wealth creation across the 8 member countries of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU. Last week, the ECCB engaged media practitioners from across the region in a bid to improve public understanding of the bank's work. The ECCB's headquarters is in St. Kitts and Nevis. Larissa Pulsey-Kidd, who participated in the 2-day workshop, filed this report.
The stability of the Eastern Caribbean dollar and its long-standing EC 2.70 dollar peg to the US dollar continues to be a source of pride for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. The bank is also preparing to celebrate its 50th anniversary in the coming months. At a workshop held on March 25th and 26th in St. Kitts and Nevis, ECCB Deputy Director Dr. Valda Henry emphasized the importance of citizens generating wealth as part of the region's economic development.
Because the Big Push agenda speaks to, or asks the question, how do we double the GDP within 10 years? That call was issued in January 2023. So it means we're 3 years into this 10 years, so we have 7 years left. But on a personal level, the question is also relevant. How do you, how do I, how do we double our individual wealth within 10 years?
The ECCB is also set to launch its 5-year strategic plan on March 31st under the theme Collective Action for Shared Prosperity. Dr. Henry underscored the need for people to transition from being primarily savers to becoming investors.
While in the Caribbean we may be diligent savers, we are not great investors. To a large extent, we are very risk averse. And what it is asking for is that we need to shift our mindset, take a cultural shift to move from savers to investors. Because we have recognized that savings alone does not lead to wealth creation.
The bank continues to roll out a number of programs across the Eastern Caribbean. Director of Corporate Relations at the ECCB, Sharmalan Kirby, said the decision to engage the media was aimed at strengthening public awareness of the bank's role and functions so it can better serve the people of the ECCU.
Central banking information is not always easily relatable, and so we thought it important if our media practitioners have a better understanding, they will be in a better position to relate the information to the public.
Sessions at the media workshop covered a range of topics, including the future of payments in the ECCU, safeguarding the financial system, monetary policy, understanding data, reserve management, and financial inclusion and illiteracy. For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines signs WTO Fisheries subsidies agreement. This and other stories coming up when we return with more local news. Stay with us.
Welcome to SeaStar.
Welcome to the upgraded SeaStar Limited,
where we offer to almost all your household items.
They've expanded their range to sofas, dining and patio sets, beds and mattresses, wardrobes, kitchen cabinets, office furniture. That's just a few from their luxurious collection. Not forgetting their signature quality windows, doors, rails, and bathroom enclosures. Journey on up to SeaStar, where their friendly sales clerk is happy to assist. SeaStar Limited, where quality meets style.
A funeral service should be one that you can be proud of, one that leaves lasting memories of your loved ones. And that's where you need the New Haven Funeral Home. We are proud of the quality and class we have brought to the industry. We are proud for having trained the very first certified embalmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are proud of leading the way in terms of live streaming of funerals online so that your family members overseas could also be part of the celebration of life. We are constantly improving our services. We are driven by customer satisfaction, and we are proud of all that we do.
New Haven Funeral Home.
This Tuesday, March 31st, you can be a millionaire. Yes, the Lotto jackpot is now $1 million. Your dream vacation, a university degree, that new ride, your new house can all suddenly be within your reach. What a Little Lotto can do with a jackpot of $1 million this Tuesday, March 31st. You have to be in it to win it.
Life can be stressful. Work, family, finances, it all adds up. Feeling overwhelmed, struggling with relationships, need help managing stress? You don't have to go through it alone. The Employee Assistance Program, Public Service, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, EAP, is here for you. We have confidential and professional counselors ready to listen and offer support for any personal challenge you might be facing, helping you find balance and get back to feeling your best. Call us today at 784-570-6718 or email eap.mps@gov.vc for more information, because a healthier you is a happier you. At the Employee Assistance Program, Public Service, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, your well-being is our concern.
Welcome back. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has taken an important step towards strengthening the sustainable management of its fisheries sector and advancing its blue economy agenda with the signing of the World Trade Organization WTO Fisheries Subsidies Agreement during the 14th WTO Ministerial Conference. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Foreign Investment, and Diaspora Affairs, Honorable Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble, signed and deposited the instrument of acceptance on behalf of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on March 26, 2026, reaffirming the country's commitment to responsible fisheries governance and sustainable ocean management. The Fisheries Subsidies Agreement represents a landmark achievement in global trade and environmental policy. It seeks to curb harmful fisheries subsidies that contribute to overfishing, overcapacity, and illegal, unreported, and unregulated IUU fishing, while promoting sustainable fishing practices among WTO member states. A news release states that for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the agreement supports the continued development of the country's blue economy, recognizing the critical role of marine resources in economic growth, environmental stewardship, and national food security. The fisheries sector remains an important contributor to the livelihood and economic activity across the nation. Importantly, the agreement includes provisions for special and differential treatment for developing countries, ensuring that small island developing states such as St. Vincent and the Grenadines can implement their commitments in a manner consistent with the national development priorities. The agreement also provides access to the technical assistance and capacity building support to strengthening fisheries management and monitoring systems. The release adds that Minister Bramble underscored the significance of this milestone, noting that the agreement presents a valuable opportunity to further enhance the resilience, sustainability, and long-term viability of the fisheries sector, while protecting the marine resources upon which Vincentians depend. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines remains committed to active agreement in the multilateral trading system, working with international partners to promote policies that support sustainable development, economic resilience, and responsible stewardship of the country's ocean resources. SVG Sailing Week kicked off on Sunday with junior sailors in action at Coconut Grove Beach at Villa. The day, which proved ideal for sailing, saw strong participation from children, highlighting the growing interest in the sport among young people. President of SVG Sailing Week, Jenny Trumbull, shared the event and stated that it presents numerous opportunities, particularly for youth, including skill development, regional exposure, and potential career pathways in sailing and maritime industries.
I want you to look out in this day and see all of these white plastic tubs, as my father would call them. These beautiful yachts are a job opportunity for every single youth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All of those huge super yachts that come through are job opportunities for every single youth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Ministers, I turn now to our new government who have brought so much energy to the country, and I put it to you. Yes, let's celebrate Sailing Week. Make it a destination for our beautiful islands, for our stunning seas, but let's also turn it into an opportunity to grow the training that we offer in the marine industry so that we can open up those opportunities for every single youth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister of Tourism, Honorable Dr. Kishore Shaloo, said the opening day was a success despite initial skepticism surrounding the hosting of the event. He noted that the strong turnout and favorable conditions set a positive tone for the week's activities.
We were even advised that this was not possible. And quite frankly, even a couple persons who were involved, I remember this particular individual said, she's not having anything to do with Sailing Week this year because it is not going to be successful and she doesn't want to be associated with it. And we decided that we cannot allow this very important initiative, one that has such historic value to people of Beckway and to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And of course, we understand the tremendous potential with the sailing and the yachting industry. And most importantly, the kids who come out here mostly every Saturday, you know, sailing, giving it time, having fun, competing as well. But the potential for them, as Jenny just said, to go all the way to the Olympics. We saw this event as necessary.
Other upcoming events include the Canoan Cup on Tuesday, which will feature a junior regatta in Mairo. On Wednesday, a yacht race from Canoan to Beckway is scheduled. The Easter weekend activities will then commence in Beckway on April 2nd, continuing through April 6th with yacht and double-ender races. The Zero Hunger Trust Fund, ZHTF, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary, will on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, host a commemorative launch and dialogue at the UWI Global Campus. The event will bring together governmental leaders, community actors, youth representatives, schools, producers, and development partners to reflect on national food security progress and prepare for the decade ahead. The fund supports programs aimed at eradicating hunger in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and was established by the government as part of its commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 2, ending hunger in the country. Speaking on NBC Radio's face-to-face program, Director and Chief Executive Officer of the fund, Sophia Horn-Beek, said the organization runs programs in schools and for the elderly, while also working with community organizations. She explained that the fund takes a multifaceted approach to tackling hunger by addressing immediate needs while putting systems in place to prevent people from falling into the poverty trap.
Sustainable livelihood will be one of the most important things that we could do, and if we start there, on the premise that if you're able to take care of yourselves, you don't get into the hunger trap, you know. And we have done work in relation to training, skills, apprenticeship. Last year, we spent the entire last year teaching persons how to do backyard garden for sustenance and subsistence, but also for them to have an avenue for extra income, particularly vulnerable households who may need that kind of support to make sure that they have food on their table to eat at all times, because you plant certain food, but you know, you always have to supplement. And that is the intention of the fund, to make sure everybody is able to eat, and that no one in St. Vincent and the Grenadines should be hungry. And we do that, as I said, multifaceted, both developmental and support.
Encouraging citizens to adopt a culture of eat what you grow, Hornbeek said on a personal level, growing one's own food can significantly improve household food security. Reflecting on the fund's 10-year milestone, she noted that while the organization is still relatively young, it has achieved significant success.
Zero Hunger Trust Fund, just to throw some figures, we estimate by the data that we have collected that we have impacted over 10,000 Vincentians directly. And as I said, we have different programs. And just a quick run through. When the fund started, one of the first programs they had was the Learning Enhancement and Nutrition Support Program that is still running. A little difference in scale and scope. And that program supported children to go to school. They actually adopted a class from kindergarten to CPA, where they provided resources for that particular class in schools that were identified as vulnerable areas because you have either remote access or pockets of poverty and food insecurity in those communities, and supported students to go to school. But that was not all. A hungry child cannot learn. So the second element of that program is the school feeding, where whatever we give to those schools, we give them a grant to be able to purchase food for the school feeding to supplement what government donates to the school. And when we do that, the entire school can eat for free.
Key speakers at Wednesday's events will include the ZHTF Director or CEO representatives from CARICOM and the FAO, Prime Minister Honorable Dr. Godwin Friday, Minister of Education Honorable Philip Jackson, Minister of Agriculture Honorable Israel Bruce, and Minister of Tourism Honorable Dr. Kishore Shallow. Following the opening ceremony, the event will feature 3 breakout sessions, including strategic framing, a presentation and panel discussion, and a moderated stakeholder dialogue. Zero Hunger Day in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be observed on April 6, 2026. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown urges his party supporters to get in a state of readiness as he announces a general election by April. This from the region when we return. Stay with us.
The Ever-Ready Funeral Home at French's is your friend in times of grief. With over 40 years' experience, they are prepared to take care of all your funeral arrangements. Embalming, lowering device service, grave mattresses, carpeting, vaults, tombs and wreaths. Arrangements for television obituaries. Cremation is available upon request. Ever-Ready Funeral Home offers the finest in caskets and coffins, local and imported. So, in your time of need, call Ever-Ready Funeral Home at any time. 456-1494. Ever-Ready Funeral Home, offering service above self.
Fisheries, a family store. We sell everything you need for your kitchen and more. Top brands and appliances. TVs, fridges, cookers. We make your life so easy. Just come in and see us. A wide range of furniture. Right here at Singer. Affordable beds and mattresses. Right here at Singer. Washing machines to make your laundry clean and fresh. Singer is a family store that gives you the best hire purchase deals. Right here at Singer. We'll outfit your home. Right here at Singer. The #1 family store. It's us with Singer.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6, a bigger jackpot game. $403,000. That's the Super 6 jackpot for Tuesday, March 31st. It's $403,000. More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6, a bigger jackpot game.
Welcome back. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says Parliament is to be dissolved on Wednesday, April 1st, ahead of general election next month. He says the election date could be as early as April 22nd. We hear more in this report.
Antigua and Barbuda is now standing at the edge of an election season. Friday, Prime Minister John Gaston Brown uses the floor of Parliament to signal that election day is fast approaching. He reveals the government had originally planned to dissolve Parliament and issue the writ immediately, a move that would have put election day on April 17. But he says his colleagues have urged him to show what he calls a little mercy to an opposition he suggests is still not fully ready.
I may not be a man of faith like Simon, but I'm a Christian man. And I believe in mercy. So I've been advised to give them a few more days to allow them to get their house in order. Because clearly, even though they are making articulations to the extent that they are ready, they still do not have a full slate as yet. And in as much as we want to be strategic, again, we don't want to put the opposition at a major disadvantage.
Instead, the Prime Minister says he has advised Governor General Sir Rodney Williams to dissolve Parliament next Wednesday, April 1. That now puts the spotlight on Cabinet, which is to decide whether the writ of election will be issued the same day. If it is, the country could head to the polls April 22. And even if there's a slight delay, the Prime Minister says it will not be by much.
However, based on the advice of my colleagues, we will determine whether or not it is issued several days later, again depending as to the state of readiness of the opposition. But what I'll say here will not give the members on the other side more than an additional week. It'll be less than a week. So we're hoping that next week is Holy Week, and they will utilize Holy Week to bring the party together, to get some love in their hearts, and to get in a state of readiness.
So the starting gun is about to be fired, and the Parliament set to dissolve next week. The race to election day is about to be on. Jimmy J. Roche, ABS.
The international news is coming up next. Stay with us.
Courts is giving you the chance to experience the Caribbean's premier music and arts event, the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival. Every Courts purchase of $2,999 or more from now to April 23rd gives you a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip for two. To enjoy the music, the flair, and to create unforgettable memories for you and your guests. Don't miss this opportunity. Shop today only at Courts, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
Quality products, quality care, low prices, great customer service, all at QCare Pharmacy. QCare leads the way, providing all your pharmaceutical needs, a variety of personal care products, and so much more. Located on Halifax Street. Telephone number 451-2690. QCare Pharmacy, where the Q stands for quality.
This Tuesday, March 31st, you can be a millionaire. Yes, the Lotto jackpot is now $1 million. Your dream vacation, a university degree, that new ride, your new house can all suddenly be within your reach. What a Little Lotto can do with a jackpot of $1 million. This Tuesday, March 31st, you have to be in it to win it.
Welcome back. On the international scene, as the Iran war disrupts global shipping, rising costs for producers in India have led to significantly less work for migrant textile workers, and that means less pay. Cooking gas is in short supply and prices are rising. Many are leaving India's industrial heartlands for their own hometowns. We hear more in this report.
In the Indian city of Surat, thousands of workers are waiting to get on the train. It's the same one they arrived on, in search of better paying jobs. The Iran war has affected the textile industry here, making work much harder to come by. Now they're returning home, where job opportunities are scarce, but at least they'll be able to make hot meals.
Cooking gas is the biggest problem for everyone sitting here. We couldn't get any despite rations. So how are we supposed to cook our meals? We're not in a village where we can just go out and find firewood to burn.
Some employers have kitchens that provide meals for workers, but only once a day. Workers still have to find their own gas, but prices have skyrocketed. The government is also cracking down on informal suppliers and limiting deliveries to commercial establishments, as the Middle East conflict has cut off most oil and gas shipments.
Some shops sell a kilogram of cooking gas for up to $8. Everything has become so expensive while wages have remained the same.
And if they're not waiting at a train station to leave, they're out on the streets hoping they'll be given a day's work. Textile factories have slashed production and reduced daily operations due to rising costs from raw materials to freight and gas, and fewer orders. And that means fewer jobs for migrant workers who earn a daily wage. Industry leaders in Surat say they're now losing more than $25 million a day.
Because of the war between the US, Israel and Iran, the cost of raw material has gone up by 40%. It doesn't make sense for us to buy such expensive raw material, so we have to cut down on production.
And as the situation worsens, workers are worried they'll get stuck in a lockdown similar to what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. The government says there's no such plan, but the fear is further driving the exodus of migrant workers. Barnabelow, Al Jazeera.
That's the news. Sports is just ahead with Triska Campbell. But before that, let's take a look at the local weather forecast.
The weather report sponsored by General Hardware.
Listen, the big hardware stores have been ripping off Vincentians for years with their high prices. They came General Hardware with the lowest prices ever in SVG. Now, the big guys are scrambling to drop their prices, but they still can't beat the General. So don't let them fool you. General Hardware still has the best prices on lumber, plywood, and steel. And even with a sale, the General beats that too. So go on, compare prices. Then come to General Hardware and save dollars every day. Because nobody beats the General. Nobody. General Hardware Supplies, located next to Yvette's Pork City in Arnesville. Call 453-9000.
Present conditions cloudy, winds northeast at 15 kilometers per hour, temperature 26.0 degrees Celsius, relative humidity 78%, barometric pressure 1012.9 millibars, 24-hour rainfall 0.2 millimeters. Today's maximum temperature 28.8 degrees Celsius, today's minimum temperature 21.6 degrees Celsius. Sunset 6:16 p.m. and sunrise will be at 6:01 a.m. The forecast: fair to occasionally cloudy and breezy with a few scattered showers. The synopsis: weak unstable conditions crossing the islands.
The weather report was sponsored by General Hardware.
Tourism has many benefits to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It creates growth and a boost in economic activities, infrastructure development, job creation, entrepreneurship, and is a source of foreign exchange earnings. Supermarkets and vendors, bars, restaurants, taxis, tour guides, hotels, service providers, and many more all benefit directly from income gained through the tourism industry. Taxes collected from visitors to our country help St. Vincent's economy and its growth. Tourism is everyone's business. Live it, love it, embrace it.
Tourism is everyone's business. Yeah. Live it, love it, embrace it.
Good evening and welcome to the Evening Sports. I'm Triska Campbell. We hear that Australia took an unassailable 2-0 lead in their ODI series against the West Indies women with a 90-run win in the second match in St. Kitts after winning the first match on Friday, March 27th by 103 runs. New captain Sophie Malo rested her recent back injury and watched on as veteran Beth Mooney top scored for the visitors, who managed 269 for 7 after winning the toss. Spinners Georgia Wareham and Ashley Gardner were key with the ball as the hosts suffered a collapse of 8 for 36 on the turning deck in reply. 9th in the ICC's ODI rankings, West Indies had looked up for their fight against the world number 1 Australians, who fell to 82 for 4 in the 16th over of their innings. Mooney and standing captain Talia McGrath had the Aussies back on track with a 58-run stand before a valuable knock of 39 from Wareham at number 7. In reply, the West Indies superstar Hayley Matthews had the hosts tracking nicely at 92 for 1 through 23 overs, only to become the first victim of their collapse. In the next over, player of the match, Wareham tackled the off stump of the other set batter Stephanie Taylor and then sent Deandra Dotting packing for a 4th ball duck. McGrath ended the game and broke the 49-run partnership for the 10th wicket when Krishma Ramarak holed out to fall. Having already swept the 3-match T20 International Series, Australia faced their hosts in the final ODI on Thursday for a chance to claim 6 wins from as many matches on tour. The 2026 BOSVG National Netball Competition is currently on the way at the National Netball Centre in New Montrose. On Saturday, March 28th, 2 games were played in the Vitamalt Youth Development Division, which saw the BSS Warriors defeat Exceed Sports Club 36-1, and A&D Success Senators beat Sion Hill Team 3 40-12. Also on Saturday, Exceed Sports Club 3 got the better of Dutch Lady Clinchers in a 35-23 goal Division 3 matchup. No games were carded for today, Monday, March 30th, as the SVG Netball Association was set to hold its annual general meeting. However, the AGM has been postponed to a later date, which has not yet been set, and action in the 2026 BOSVG National Netball Competition will resume tomorrow, Tuesday, March 31st, at the Kingstown Netball Centre. Dominant record-breaking performances by Amaya Edward and AJ Delplush were the climaxes of a 10 record-shifting 2026 SVG Community College Invitational Track and Field Finals at the Sir Vincent's Beach National Stadium in Diamond on Friday, March 27th. Amaya Edwards topped the female category with 35 points after winning gold and setting new marks in the female high jump, triple jump, and long jump events. AJ Delplush left the pack behind to emerge the male champion athlete with 30 points and record record-breaking wins in the male 100-meter and 60-meter events, while also taking gold in the 200-meter dash. Delplush amassed 30 points. When the dust had settled, Sports Sciences ran away with the overall top spot after amassing a total of 340 points. The Division of Arts, Science and General Studies finished second on 259 points, while the Division of Technical and Vocational Education improved to third with 149 points. Sports Sciences also topped both the female and male categories. They won the female category with a total of 163 points and the male category with 177 points. That's all we end sports this evening. I'm Triska Campbell. We'll be right back to wrap things up.
Listen, the big hardware stores have been ripping off Vincentians for years with their high prices. They're paying General Hardware with the lowest prices ever in SVG. Now, the big guys are scrambling to drop their prices, but they still can't beat the General. So don't let them fool you. General Hardware still has the best prices on lumber, plywood, and steel. And even with a sale, the General beats that too. So go on, compare prices. Then come to General Hardware and save dollars every day, because nobody Nobody beats the General. Nobody. General Hardware Supplies, located next to Yvette's Pork City in Arnesville. Call 453-9000.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game. $403,000. That's the Super 6 jackpot for Tuesday, March 31st. It's $403,000. More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game.
Welcome back. Thank you, Triska, for bringing us the sports. Now for a second look at the headlines. Government establishes cost of living task force to tackle global economic pressures. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown urges his party supporters to get in a state of readiness as he announces general election by April. Iran conflict impacting Indian workers, war causing cooking gas shortages, joblessness. And in sports, Mooney and Australia's spinners stand out as Australia go 2-0 up in ODI series against Windies. Now for a recap of the local weather forecast. The forecast, fair to occasionally cloudy and breezy with a few scattered showers. And on behalf of all of us here at SVG-TV, thanks for viewing. I am Twyla Thompson, inviting you to visit our Facebook page for a recap of the news and daily headlines. Also, check out SVG-TV's news in 15 weekdays at 12:45 p.m. Again, thanks for viewing and enjoy the rest of your evening.
SVG's Heart and Soul. Magic 103.7, 91.5. Today's music, yesterday's hits.
24 karat magic.